Welcome all to this session on the impact of skilling in the gaming industry. And I have a very esteemed set of panelists on the stage, right, covering the gamut of the ecosystem. We've got Sridhar sir from TAS from the government of Telangana. We have Mohit from the Skill Sector Skills Council. We have Shakti from Bennett. We have Ashokji from GLA. We've got IIT. We've got an industry expert, and then we've got from CBIT. So we have a sort of a sort of a 360-degree panelists sitting here, government, industry, ecosystem, and I request you guys that to keep your questions for the last. We will have some time for Q&A as well. 2 rounds of questions, and probably and make it as exciting as we can. So, sir, I had a few questions right up because you're at the heart of things, and the state government is doing some phenomenal work in the space of gaming. You guys have set up this really big aspiration of image, right? And I believe this is going to be the hub for, if not the globe, but at least for the Southeast Asia, right? Where India, you're mapping Telangana, you're already on the map. Now you're becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So I wanted to understand, sir, what are your thoughts while we are building this ecosystem in the space? What are the steps that the government is doing from a skilling perspective to promote industry, academia, to come together and it should not be just an infrastructure project, but an actual ecosystem project. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this panel and share some of the thoughts of the government of Telangana as well as my own personal thoughts. I think one thing what is happening over here in Hyderabad is Hyderabad slowly is becoming the emerging technologies capital of India, right? Like Bangalore is the IT capital, this is the emerging technologies capital. So we have got a whole lot of things happening over here. When we looked at the AVGC, or what we call as image, which is innovation in gaming and multimedia and entertainment, etc. So at that time, we were looking at how do we ensure that whatever Telangana does is of the next level, right? So that's where it is. If you look at T-Hub, right, today is amongst the, the second largest innovation ecosystem that has been created over here. Looking at the multimedia industry, or what it used to be called earlier, what we call image over here, or AVGC in other terms, and media and entertainment in others, etc. I think of the last 20 years, if you look at it, the media and the film industry is quite stable over here, but it had to be pushed and moved to the next thing. When you look at the kind of numbers that have been spoken about, right, till the time the pandemic had hit us, the number of gamers, etc., were less in India. But if you look at the penetration of mobile devices, if you look at how many gamers are there in India, the penetration of devices, the low data plans that we have, etc., and the population moving from a pure play download, right, to a monetization of gaming industry that has happened recently, I think a lot of changes have happened, right? In order to create an ecosystem, that is where Image Tower has been created. When we come to look at, and today if I look at it with the organic growth, we are talking about close to 2 lakh people being absorbed in Telangana in the gaming industry itself, right? Out of the 5 lakh, that is the projection by 2027 in India, right? So 2 lakhs were going to be absorbed over here. So we started looking at it and said, what all skills do these people require? And of course, Mohit and myself and many other people are also part of the FICCI committee as well as the National Skills Committee, where we said that we need to catch people young, right? So MECAT junior exams, etc., we have already recommended as per the policy, saying that we should find out who are the people who are actually interested. Why should people come, do their engineering 4 years and then realize, no, I should have gone into gaming? I think that's good for me. So that's where our thing starts. One of the simple thing, of course, technology, etc., comes in later, but behavioral aspects also play a very, very key part. For example, unless and until in gaming, if you look at it, you need to understand and completely draw out. So critical thinking understanding what steps are to be there, multiple levels will be there, multiple options will be there. You should be able to visualize everything. So that critical thinking aspect is very, very important, right? Not taught in any colleges, universities, etc. Second thing is when you talk about gaming itself, right? The behavioral aspects, apart from behavioral aspect, the domain itself, the knowledge about the domain in gaming itself. For example, in one of my previous avatars, I used gaming to create skills, to develop skills. And this is for a banking application where people actually, this was part of Manipal, ICICI Manipal Global Banking Academy and many others, Bank of Baroda, Manipal School of Banking, and so on and so forth. We used a Candy Crush engine to help people understand when a draft or a check comes to you, you need to pass it, right? In a bank, as a banker. But if you look at the speed at which they pass, initially when the students started, they could hardly pass one check or a draft in about 2 minutes. We gave them a Candy Crush engine where you need to identify where is the problem, what is the problem, and pass or reject it. And you would get a platinum or a gold or a silver or a normal brick to create your city. 3 months down the line, they were passing about 27 checks and drafts a minute, right? So we need to understand that how the potential of not only gaming, but serious gaming also comes in. So we need to understand the complete domain where it can play. Because today, if you look at it, with XR, etc. coming into picture, a lot of things are going to change. Gaming, the way we see it, is not only gaming, but serious games. In 2011, we created serious games for Acer, etc., where we were also inculcating their values, etc., were being taught to new recruits using games. So we need to understand that all this domain is there, and that's where it is. And of course, then comes the technology part of it, which is what are the technologies over here. And my basic aim over here in Telangana is, and when I say my, it's government of Telangana task and everyone else, it's we need to focus and concentrate on the foundation also. Because today, a couple of years ago, or about a year and a half ago, it was Unreal 4.3, now it's 5.3, and so on and so forth, right? So if your fundamentals are good, then you can build a building on it. There's only one Hawa Mahal in the world, right? A building without foundation. And that's where our concentration would be, that we are able to give to the industry, right? Because we work with the industry very closely, and we work in 3 different models. I'll just take 2 minutes more. The first model is a laddered learning approach. And our thing is, what we realized very early on is, if you skill people in the final year for employability, it's like eating a 500 mg capsule before you go for your medical exam, right? Doesn't help anyone. So we start skilling right from the first year itself. So we sit over and above the academic curriculum, and we skill people right from the first year so that by the time they finish their degree or the engineering, they're already employable. The second model is we work with the industry and look at a finishing school model where we train them, while the first model is a number of hours in a day, because it's along with the academic curriculum. The second one is full day, 45 days minimum to 3 months to 6 months, whatever it takes to ensure that people have the right skills and become employable. Here we work with the industry vertical itself, right? Just to give an example, with the frauds that are happening, cyber security could be the industry, and we could focus on cyber forensics, etc. Right? So that's one. And the third is any organization that is coming into Telangana, we work with them, co-create the curriculum along with them. And if we don't have the subject matter experts or the equipment for training them, we would do it on the shop floor with that subject matter experts to ensure that the person, when they are employable, they are productive right from first day. So these are some of the models that are being implemented. And of course, this is only going to get accelerated with the kind of image tower. I don't know how many of you know, it's a 22-story building, 1.6 million square feet, of creative ecosystem that is being developed, right? So you'll have all kinds of production, post-production videos. You'll have, you name the thing. For example, you walk through studios, motion studios, etc., etc. Everything is being created over here. Plus, we'll also have, and we are already in discussions with multiple universities, etc., to offer career programs and everything else. And the best part is, and probably we are announcing it tomorrow, a tie-up with the Media and Entertainment Sector Skill Council, which has been doing some phenomenal work in this area in games and AVGC, etc. So we are partnering with them to ensure that we are able to democratize gaming and reach out to the tier 2, tier 3, all the 33 districts of Telangana. Today we have about 720 odd colleges and about 3.5 lakh students who are associated with task. We are going to identify how, whether they are to the creative side and then work with them. Sorry, I've taken a bit long, but I hope, because I think what is coming up, Image Tower, is truly something amazing, which will be an icon, not only for Hyderabad and Telangana, but soon going to be an icon for India itself.
Sure, thank you, sir. Mohit, I wanted to ask you a question. I won't dwell too much into the partnership that Sridhar sir has announced, but I want to understand, we look at two sector skills councils from Government of India to see how, as sir mentioned, finishing school, trying to brush up and build that momentum. Do you also look at international partnerships in a perspective? Because I was seeing yesterday where sir mentioned Candy Crush. It got me thinking. Sweden is probably I think makes 1/4 of the gaming, the content creation in the world is done from Sweden. Have you ever thought about how sector skill councils can work as a aggregator of partnerships for academia and states? Your thoughts on that?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here, and thanks to Shrikantji for always being there for us to support. See, international partnerships is certainly everybody's, I would say, first choice at this point of time, because the way our country is growing, it's no more limited to our boundaries. It has gone beyond the boundaries. The only prerogative to look at it is that what kind of association and tie-ups are we looking at. When you talk about academia, I believe in India, one thing which we have been talking about always is industry academia. While to me, at this point of time and with the kind of manpower requirements we have, it has to be industry academia and academia both. Second, I think we have to understand how this entire ecosystem works. There is a bottom of pyramid and then there is a top of the pyramid. So almost all institutions which have been there in the country, which are doing phenomenally good from their side of the work, is not able to suffice the need today. And we need to develop more and more institutions. We need to develop more and more partnerships and alliances. When I look at international boundaries, I would say whether it is Sweden or Germany or any other country you may talk about today, the first and the foremost thing which can really work wonders for us is the expertise which has to be brought in, the knowledge which has to be brought in. And I feel no short is India in that. If you ask me today, we are the biggest outsourcing destination in the world. So almost all the big projects are getting done in India. Only thing is, how do we capitalize on these professionals and experts who are right now in the production facilities? So if you ask me, the first and the foremost component, whether domestic or international, is to build a team of trainers. And I think some of the studios in the country have been firmly doing it. Raju Patilji is here from Lakshya, and I think in-game primarily the academy which they have established is doing wonders in training up the trainers. So I think we had a lot of discussions whether we should go B2C, B2B, how do we go about it. And I think there have been a lot of chances where there was an opportunity to directly work with students for these studios. And most of the studios seems to have set up a training facility. But think of a studio training candidates 30, 50, 100 in numbers and then recruiting them in-house. It's not going to widen the ecosystem. But think of a studio now training 100, 200, 300 or maybe 50 trainers in a year. Think of those 50 trainers going across to 50 universities or 50 training institutions, and then multiplier effect is going to there. So with international partnerships, we have started our foots down. We have been working closely with Nepal. We have been in Dubai. We have been in Korea. We have been there in MIPCOM recently. So we are working on both sides. One side is to see that we can develop a content partnership and bring that content alliances to our studios in India. The second is certainly to build up alliances with international academic institutions and see that there could be some exchange of trainers, students, as well as knowledge and experience. So that's something on the card, and you will see something very big happening maybe in this coming year because there's a dedicated team who is working on it.
Okay.
So we'll surely look at it, and Ramesh and everybody being there, we will see how to go about it in the next league. Thank you.
So, Ramesh, I want to go on to you because I'm now going to get into the spicy stuff part of the conversation. You bring we were discussing outside in the some time back. In the discussion, it was coming out that you have a tremendous amount of experience in this space. You worked in this space, but you drew my attention to one point. You drew my attention to the point of the training of the teachers, which I think is very, very important. And Mohit also re-emphasized that. And I will get to my academia on this specifically. Your thoughts? Why is it so important? We know, but how do you go about executing the importance is more important. Your thoughts?
Very, very important question. In short, if you want to predict the future, all you got to be mindful and see the past. So,
could you help me elaborate a little bit more on that?
So, teacher training, India is one of the best ever in terms of the primary teacher training. We come from the Guru Parampara. So, what we give the child, the basic discipline when they're tender and young, where the parent makes the uniform, runs everything around him till he gets to the school, and the student is in that physiology, the psychometric thing with an open mind. It works well. When it comes with the internet age, where students with the power of internet and the phone, the better teacher is the internet guru than the real guru in the class, or not guru, the instructor in the class, the teacher in the class. So the higher education is not failing, falling on its face. So literally that's where, when I spoke to Bennett before getting into the college, they said, no, we realized that, and we say last 2 semesters is project, internship. That's the best way to go. Even when they're doing tip of the thing, when I heard from the task, yes, it's there, but we really need to get to that bridging for getting an entry-level job and next thing. But who are the trainers being there is what we call as technical vocational education coupled with adult education. So when I look into the past to predict the future, I look into our good things in the primary teacher thing, and then come back with what I called as adult education. So adult mind is there. When I speak in most of the business conversation, the person is physically there. I can say, I meet you nicely, meeting of the physical hand. But when I go back and reflect and I sit calmly for 10 minutes and said, is there a meeting of the mind with this person? I see a China wall, 18 feet thick wall around the person. When it is there in professional business, when 2 people want to mutually engage, and everyone, I'm not saying the other person has, I pretty much has a 20 feet wall bigger than that with my ego and all other stuff. But it's that acknowledgement comes to where I work for Epic Games, and I lead Epic Games Unreal Authorized Instructor Program. I lead 3 programs there. One is the Unreal Authorized Instructor Program, that is teacher training. So I'm trying to elaborate on that laser point question. That particular program, when I started 3 years back, there was one authorized instructor for whole of India, Middle East, Africa, all of the ASEAN countries, and Australia.
And now how many do you have?
We have 122 who passed how to teach and what to teach in the technical education. Okay. In India, we have 82. In Hyderabad, yesterday I was speaking at a conference and I saw the crowd. The first 3 tables were there and 25 people came on board who were actually Epic Games partners for Unreal to do training and delivery here. Okay. So whatever Jayesh Ranjan has done here, putting the capital here and getting people, a major chunk of my global power to do the teacher training, which is the technical vocational education, where one of the eye is knowing what to teach, and the second eye for that instructor is how to teach. And how to teach is not to teach people who are premeditated, preconditioned to come and sit in the class with an open mind. People whose mind is being, I would not say shut down, but they are being taken by the tide of EMI pay karna hai, my son is in the hospital, something is going there, and then come to for what you call upskilling. So entry-level job, and these are coming for upskilling. And now you need to give empathy, love, and respect to their social structure, social structure, and then identify what is the skill gap for what job you can place. So one recipe doesn't fit there. One curriculum doesn't fit there. Colleges cannot define curriculum. By the time you define curriculum for Unreal 4.0 and you get through the Board of Studies, 5.1 is there. So the velocity of change of technology is a sine curve moving. Actually, it's a parabolic curve moving up. Okay, and aspirations of individuals to skill up. Oh, I have everything set. Now I can learn. They go up. No, my job is going down, or I have something, it's go down. It's a sine curve. So the more and more people attempt to learn, upskill, and do it, they go up to the curve. And today, I would say Epic Games India team is solving world problems. When I say world problems, most of the instructors who are Unreal Other instructors here went to Dubai and started Unreal Other training centers. We're training people in Singapore. So we are becoming, definitely from my lens, my world is between Australia to Africa. So I see same thing in Istanbul. I see same thing in Europe. And what Mohit plays from MESC role is to bring a flavor to look at the most common denominator, like world skills. He supports world skill, is the least thing that can give high impact of entry-level jobs. Then you have medium-level program, which is to do content creation for animation industry. Then the highest value chain is getting into 3D AAA quality games. So teacher training is very different because there is no method defined, and we need to take expert, and maybe we should put them to mindfulness.
Ashok ji, Ramesh ji put up a very valid question. We were also discussing that, coming out with a 4-year degree program on gaming. And he brought a very valid point that in academia, things are a little bit more structured. But the industry in itself is, as he mentioned, by the time you come out with 4.0, you've started executing 4.0, you're into 5.0. How do you inculcate that flexibility in a 4-year program? I mean, I want to speak with you, and then I want to have other colleagues also answer that.
That's indeed a good question to understand. See, the academicians, we believe in the fact that the product that we are creating has got a shelf life of 30 years, 40 years, and so on. So fundamentals has to be very, very right.
ये तो आपका जवाब बहुत ही diplomatic जवाब था आपका.
Yeah, that is what he also pointed out. See, the technologies 4.0, 5.0 will keep on changing, but if the fundamentals are set right, he really can pick up fast. And we really lack that itself. We focus on 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 and kind of things, and we miss the fundamentals. This is one. Second thing, as he said, Mohit also said, the industry-academia collaboration. This has to be one more stage forward. We move with industry-academia government collaboration. And this collaboration terms, we are looking into this since years and years. Nothing much came out of this. See, industry is working in its silos. They have set up few train the teachers kind of training programs. They really don't want to take the pains. You look at the statistics. ISI, they recently conducted a survey, and they says that out of 10, 8 industries, gaming industries, they are not satisfied with the quality of the talent that they are getting. Clear? There is a huge demand-supply gap in terms of quality. And we say that in India, the young population is so much, and we have, all numbers of people to supply to you. So there is a gap. Who has to take care of this? So not just industry-academia collaboration, it must be industry-academia integration. Industries need to come forward. They also have a social responsibility. They also have an obligation to create the future pipeline for their own purpose. So if we really can, bring the culture of gaming, or, we really can make aware of them early in the school education and then to university education, that makes a lot of sense. And that ultimately will serve their purpose only. So we really cannot just keep saying that, okay, we are not getting the quality talent. Who is responsible? Being as industries, you really are looking in and out, day in, day out, what exactly is required. We, the academicians, our job is a bit different. So if we really integrate, come together, If you really can set up your center of excellences, if you really can send your developers to the institutions directly, you really can conduct a lot of activities there, then that will help all of us. And that is how when we say that, that we are all set to become a $5 trillion economy, Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Startup India. So for all these things to happen, we have to have the talent. We might be the second largest country in the world who are, the young population is involved in gaming. But what we are creating is, you said that Sweden is creating the most, number of games or kind of things. So where we ultimately will become consumers. So we have to generate, we have to produce the things. If we really want to become leader, we need to put the, education right in place. And that is what makes sense. Thank you.
So over to you. You come from a very, while all institutions are premier, but IIT sort of is always considered a little bit on the higher benchmark. Ashokji mentioned that it should be not collaboration, it should be integration. What do you think? Because you have Rameshji sitting right next to you, and he has a strong opinion, right? And it's on his face. I just want to understand, what are the steps that you guys are doing? Because generally it's considered as what the IITs do sort of transcends downstream. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks firstly for inviting. So a couple of things, I mean, maybe, slightly different. See, the goal again, the kind of students that we have, again, going back to the point that sir made on fundamentals, right? So let's say if a student spends 3 months or 6 months on learning Unreal, okay, or any other thing, and if that becomes dated after 2 years, right? So, so the focus, at least in IITs, I mean, I cannot speak in general, but the way we focus is what is the, conceptual base that is required, such that irrespective of whatever game engine comes, how do our students kind of cope up with, right? So from a skilling perspective, we do have our students there are several enthusiasts who want to build games, right? And we also have student clubs around games and stuff. But on a serious note, we also have I mean, at IIT Tirupati, we have developed a game called ML Quest to teach machine learning to school children. Now, what we did was we did have a cognitive theoretical basis in terms of why this game should be taught in the way it should be taught, and the technology, and we deployed it to a couple of schools nearby in Tirupati. And the outcome, again, of course, we've been able to get the feedback from the students, and we published a research paper. Now, like this, there are other games that we have developed, including a game on COVID awareness, a game for teaching coding and debugging, and so on. Now, the question that I'm trying to, understand is, how do I scale this up? Okay, from a research perspective, the student who did this is in Waterloo right now, doing their masters. The student who did another game is in ETH Zurich doing PhD. Now, how do we take it to the next step is the question. Okay, we do from, our students have done this, but I want to scale it up. When sir is mentioning they have, the numbers are the scale is so big. So we also have another line of work where I see there's a lot of scope and opportunity where we actually try to understand the architecture, analyze the architecture of Unreal Engine. We developed a tool to analyze, what are the drawbacks of Unreal Engine, and again we published it as a research paper. Now, what concerns me or what I see as an opportunity is, maybe we didn't talk to Unreal or Unity people. We didn't even reach out to, okay, we developed this game, how do we scale it further, right? So that is where I'm seeing when you say the integration or the connection with industry. So I see that maybe we have to go to the next step and say, hey, this is what we did. Is there a way that could be taken up for the next step, right? And probably, with task or industry, if there is a way where we can share and probably get the inputs. We have analyzed Unreal Engine, that's published. We can tell, what is a systematic or a scientific way we have done. But maybe, we don't know enough. If we get more insights, that'll be good. So again, just to kind of summarize, the way I'm seeing is one, of course, is how do you skill the student in terms of the games and game engines. The other is, how do you analyze this large set of games that are being developed. Are there some good practices that we can come up with? Are there some productivity tools that we can come up with? Can we analyze these game engines, from multiple perspectives? So I wish to bring in that, a research perspective into this, because we can't just be saying, that itself is a big thing, that we develop, games, we produce the games, we deploy it. But can we come up with better ways of developing games, right? So that is, very much interesting, at least, from an IIT perspective in general. Rather than if I just say, okay, here is a training or tutorial on how to use a game engine to develop games, I'm pretty sure that most of our students would not turn up. But if we tell them hey, there is something wrong with this. Can you analyze this? Can you come up with a better thing? Maybe, that is more interesting.
Okay, well, good.
Can I add just one small point? I think for good music, you need musicians, but you also need the Bachs and the Beethovens. And that's exactly the point that he's making. We need the research also to happen. So there have to be institutions, and skilling, of course, whatever we are doing would make good musicians only, right? People who can produce that. But what about the next thing that needs to be done? And that's where probably, the key institutions in the country also should become part of some kind of a consortium or something, so that they can start working towards all these things. Why can't we have the next Unreal or whatever X is there? Tomorrow we don't know. It could be holograms that we are talking about. It could already drones are there in the sky, right? So creativity has moved from your screens or a 2D into a 3D and a 4D. Correct? So what could be the next things happening in that direction? I think we need to start thinking on that research also, while definitely skilling is the focus today.
Yeah, so
thanks.
If I need to summarize the point of view from a teacher training perspective, IITs are the Devalayas, means the epitome of learning centers. When I say IITs, you can take Harvard's, Stanford's. It's a global village, right? We did G20 and Vasudev Kutumbam. The summary of the gist point is core R&D, applied R&D. Applied. Yes. So the difference is, when someone comes to IIT and I'm going to give my 3 years of my life, and I say life, this guy is much better than the kid going with the uniform and a feed, right? He's giving I will go do whatever it is necessary to pass out of IIT, despite whether something is taught or not. It's a Harvard University way of learning, case study way of learning. You got to figure it out because you got into something which is impossible. Now you make your life possible. The onus is, in our Vedanta, it's called Markata Kishornaryam. It is the monkey's kid who catches the monkey. The student is responsible for his success when he gets to the IIT, not the professor. When you get the opportunity, he will say, when private organizations run for a business, it's demand and supply. So here, I would put a line when we look at the big devalayas of learning of IIT is, you have the velocity of change where you have longer delta period of time to do it, go for core R&D and think out of the box. But when you are already out of the college and need to get a job, and I would say, I can hear more from CBAT and learn how they are really successful in creating a wonderful brand. So that's my 2 cents on reflection on both of your comments. So that no, we need to have both. We need to have both. And from a skilling perspective, I think, I don't think this organization can think about pragmatic, opportunistic, and quickly running this thing. It's a very different ball game. That's the reason why technical vocational education, sector skill councils are very primordial in nature to do open heart surgery, to push the people on the, not under the bus, but into the bus. Because IIT people are already having a reserve berth, reserve seat in the bus with AC, okay? All other people are going under the bus, okay? So with this, I really thanks for giving such a thought-provoking conversation.
So just one statement, one line.
Certainly, yes, go ahead.
See, it's true. The core R&D leads to apply R&D, and see the kind of demographic dividend that we have as a country in the next coming 30, 40 years. So this is the window.
One simple thing, jugaad. we are good at it. Let's admit it. Indians are good at jugaad.
That's true. So if we
our
really wanna
thinking is
become-
applied R&D. Okay.
So agree and disagree.
So this is what happens when you get two bunch of academicians sitting on the floor. They want to compete with each other.
So just if we really want to be world leader, then all engines must fire with full throttle. That is the point. R&D.
So, Shakti, you come from Bennett, and you have a pedigree of a media background. The backgrounds are from the media. How? I wanted to understand from your perspective, the accessibility to the private sector is assumed that you have a lot more because of your background of the university and the companies that are behind it. Your thoughts on how this integration and not collaboration has been inculcated in your university, in specifically in the area of gaming?
Okay, so if I talk about the integration with industry and the discussion that we had seen, my perspective is that when we say that the core research is required, it's definitely required. The core concepts are required, it is definitely required. Whenever we say there are upgradation on a software or something, that would be there, but still the core would be required. The right thing that I find is the correct balance of the core research and the applied research, and I guess there comes the industrial aspect to us. So the earlier learning was mostly about the experiments, practicals. We used to do practicals in the lab. Now the education system for us has changed from creating a solution in a lab to developing a products. So now even our students are involved in developing products. Further, the experiments are good for learning, but as a product, they don't yield anything. So, I see wastage of time at students' end when they are working on some projects for, a year or 2 years. And eventually, I don't see any application, usability of those projects. Similar thing with the research. I think the useful research should not limit to the publication. It should be actually be used in solving problems. So here comes the industrial tie-up. So as Rameshji has correctly pointed, that we have shifted in a curriculum structure where 3 years is the learning, where people do the core, building the core concepts. They are also developing the projects. We incorporate industries from changing our course curriculum on an annual basis, looking at what softwares, what tool, what things have changed in the market, where we need to upgrade ourselves, our curriculum. The faculty also needs to upgrade themselves, and at the same time, I feel that the industrial people or connects are available to us that can provide or internship to our student, where they can get involved in the real problem solutions. So third year students, they are doing part-time internship, summer internship, getting involved in the industry, learning the real problems, real challenges in developing products. The final year students are doing 1 year of internship before getting a PPO. So where they will be involved more on learning, less on developing products. They are definitely involved, but the whole idea of internship is that learn more how these things work, what are the practical challenges. And only academia will not be able to deliver that, for very basic reason that most of the faculties are coming from a PhD background. They are good at core fundamentals, they are good at the research part, but most of the faculties are lacking in the industrial experience. I see very less number of faculty members, those are coming from the industrial background. Now I guess we have started that process. So I see, maybe as a social responsibility, as Dr. Bhansali has suggested, or based on some other motivation, I want to see more people from industry are coming into education. Maybe full-time educator, maybe part-time educator. We have connect with multiple industries. I am happy to see that many people many industrial people are happy to deliver and guide a student about the current development. And it is the greatest motivation that a student get. If I talk about the resource as a faculty member, we definitely provide the fundamentals, but things have changed a lot after COVID. So many things are available online now. The internet is available all time, 24 into 7. A student can access. They are not dependent on the Wi-Fi service provider. It's available in their mobile devices. So they have the resources. All type of video lectures from IITs to Bennett to MITs to Stanford, all different universities, material is available. People, those are individual developer, they provides these details. So they have the resource. They need the correct motivation and direction. And I say, we are dealing it in the bachelor program, but it can be from the school level programs as well. And that's the portion where I see, both academy and industry should integrate.
Okay, all right. So over to you. I just had one, when Shakti said something, got me thinking. Hyderabad has become a more important Telangana. As we travel around the globe, and we see when we come to Hyderabad, we see the tremendous amount of development ecosystem that's developed, which is on par with any of the global institutions that I have seen. But more fundamentally, let's talk about a cultural perspective. And I was there last night walking, and I saw the vibe of the city, right? When you go back to this whole gaming sector, compared to the European countries or Western countries, where if you look at the top gamers that exist, they probably have not completed their education, right? Yes. I'm now going to ask a very, very controversial question, right? Why do you need a four-year degree education to be in this sector? I mean, where you can do short-term courses, because it's mostly content creation, right? I mean, when you go to an artist, is there like there are degrees available, but then an artist is an artist, right? It's something internal. What are your thoughts that, do you really need a 4-year degree? Yeah. Or is it, it's purely more individual? Your thoughts?
First of all, thanks for inviting me. I'll come from a story and then I'll come to the point. Many such sessions happens about industry academia. And I had one bold word sentence to say: always, industry looks at an institution as a supermarket. The moment they are in need of a person of a particular skill, they go to the supermarket and they say that you have not made a student ready with the required skills. But now, institution as a supermarket, we need to have versatile products with us. Then, talking about the stakeholders. When I talk about a student, whether the institution has to prepare a student for the job or for the life. So basically, we always say that a student has to be prepared for the life. And industry is always on demand basis. And today we are talking about gaming industry. Say, for example, tomorrow the opportunities are not there. Student, life will be at crossroads. This is the biggest challenge that institutions have. And coming to your question, as you are saying that, whether a 4 years degree is required. Yes, industry looking at a supermarket, getting a student for a particular job, and how long the technology is going to be, how long that student is going to sustain. The next day, when the technology is gone, he's not going to be. So when I talk about the Indian education system, it is built on a strong base. The curriculum that which we talk about, yes, as people talk about, there's a common notion we say that our curriculum, Indian curriculum is so rigid, but it's not the case. The curriculums have become so dynamic now, and there are a lot of opportunities for the industry to come and coordinate into the curriculum. When I talk about the curriculum, we have core courses, we have elective courses, we have industry electives, we have open electives. Various opportunities are there for the industry to come in, integrate into that particular curriculum, offer that particular courses. Then again, there is another point that people are talking about, teacher training. Now, institutions have started, allowing industry people to come down to teach. There is again an opportunity that has come, we call about professor of practice. So we started even recruiting the people who have industry experience to come down and teach. So a lot of dynamic changes have come in the pedagogy in the institution as well. And there is a new dimensional change that we people are going to see. The NEP is going to come. And with coming NEP, again, we are going to see a lot of change. And then when I talk about the students, those days are gone, where we say that, you have to learn this technology, you're going to get this job. The students are with, a versatile mindset. They know what exactly they want. They know what exactly they have to learn. So that's where in the curriculums, we already have integrated the internships. Say if I talk about CBIT, as everyone was talking about, we're the very first private engineering college in Hyderabad. We are almost 45 years old. And yes, we have some companies like Electronic Arts comes to our campus. They are recruiting our students as well. The students, once they join, they know what they want. And the curriculum is built on a tree-like structure. When we are talking about gaming, a game requires the fundamentals the students should learn, like, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, computer vision. And now the blockchain has come in, AR, VR has come in. These are all the various skills that are really required. And finally, as coming to the Sridhar sir said, the finishing, that is what exactly required. So having a knowledge of all these fundamental courses, and yes, the student is really want to develop a game, so then, yes, he can go for, and for there, we always have an opportunity of internships in the curriculum. Yes, the industries which we are talking about, and when a student is really interested to develop some games, he will be going for the gaming internships, and which are already there as an opportunity, and the students finally are going to take up the opportunities of their choice. The other side, I look at the campus. The companies comes, recruits, but students are again looking for the specific jobs that they want. They want to work of their interest. Even they are denying the offers, even of very good packages also they deny. Just 2 days back, one student has come, she has an offer of almost 30 lakhs package, and she said, I'm not happy with that, and I'm trying for this. So this is what exactly happening.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
How could we make that for teachers? The teacher is earning 50 lakhs per annum, and can he refuse someone pays 1 crore for him for a year?
So now you're getting into a very dicey area.
No, because the point where...
Always I say, sir, it depends. Now, we are in such a stage where generalization never works. Maybe in terms of student, maybe in terms of faculty, maybe in terms of industry or institution. Things are become quite focused now. And that's where, again, I would like to say there is another bigger challenge the industries are going to experience in the coming days, that students are not ready to work under any company. They want to be as freelancers. This is a new mindset that is coming up now with the students. This is what, my experience with the students that I can say.
You are super...
Yeah. So thank you.
You wanted
just one quick comment, right? I mean, again, reflecting back on what Ramesh was mentioning, see, it's not that we're not keen to do applied R&D. In fact, most of the times with undergrads, we do applied R&D. What I see, the point that I wish to make is like, we want to be connected where this will be taken up. See, we don't want it like, okay, that's the minimum step, whatever we can do, we are doing from our end. But now let's say, if whatever we are doing, whether it is game or analysis of games or game engines, if we can get connected or plugged into the ecosystem where we can analyze, let's say, I would say I want to analyze, 100,000 games to see what are the good practices or bad practices, whatever. I can apply AI, ML, whatever is required, right? So that plugging, that connection is one of the key things that I see, as a challenge, right? And on the other side, again, just to reflect back, see, from my perspective, and again, what we are seeing is, of course, there is a need for specific focus things. But at the undergrad level, still, maybe no old school thought, we are saying that, they should be able to have that, because the student may work, most of our students, several of them are going to IIM and doing something else, even though they're doing mechanical engineering or civil engineering here. So we don't know how their career trajectory will be after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So what at least we focus on is do they have that ability to be able to work on multiple problems from multiple domains, apply skills, that are required from a different perspective. So at least a couple of years of serious, breadth or generic thing is very much required before they get to the depth.
Can I make a point here?
Just one final thing, sorry. One final thing is several people have talked about project at the end. But what we started doing is from the first year course onwards, every semester the students do at least 2 projects. This is how the curriculum has been designed. So by the time they are already into third year, the idea of project is not new to them. They've already done it. Maybe, they'll go a little depth, but from the word go, if they're kind of like introduced to the idea that you need to build things, not just learn the concepts.
So mostly baptism by fire, right from the year one.
Yes.
Okay. Wait, you wanted to say something?
See, I think 2-3 takeaways which I could sense from the discussion. One is we are talking about a very, very big word called integration. It's a dream come true. Now, when you say integration, I believe it's like going and meeting my relatives on Diwali or staying with them. So if I have to integrate, which means I have to go to the Western model. The Western model says that there is nothing like industry academia. It is a collab. It's a family, which means the biggest of the universities having huge campuses in Mathura, in Noida, in Telangana, other parts of the country, have to give free space to the industry to set up their things. Give them infrastructure, give them free space, let them come in and play around. See, when they're there in the campus, they are a part of your family. There is no faculty coming in for once in a week or once in a month. They are going to be there. Have that guts to do it. Not half-heartedly. Do it with full heart. And don't think about money from there. Because that much money you would have invested in hiring the best trainers or conducting a research of developing a curriculum, which industry masters in. That's first takeaway, which I feel. The second one, which I believe, is that we are focusing too much on saying that there has to be a very imparted curriculum for training the students. There is nothing like it. A student who is passionate can be groomed for the industry in 3 months, and who is not passionate can take 3 years, 30 years, nothing happens. I met one designer in my team, okay, and I told him, I said, your salary is X today, and if you continue in the same progression, your salary will be X plus 1, not X square or X3. Because that's something which we don't upskill and upgrade ourselves on. The third point, which I feel is very strong to be looked at, is that are we really geared up to that volume of business which we are expecting in the country today? And if we are, then what is the plan? It has not to be a cohesive approach which only government has to facilitate. Mass training, quality training, and high-end training. All three have to be bundled up together, and the institutions have to be developed according to it. I think there is a lot which can happen. I have been hearing this for the last 25 years of my career in this media industry, and I hope I hear this continuously for another 20 years, that there is a skill gap and we continue to fill it. There's no negativity about it. But I feel what has to happen is there has to be a lot of initiatives where both the big giants have to sit together.
The skill gap exists because there is a gap between student and learner. Now, when I say student want a great job, when I go and train people, teachers, they get jobs and they go off. Some people are saying,
no, Ramesh, you're saying right. My only view is, if I go back and ask you the question of 122 certified trainers today, out of how many applied, you will know where the skill gap is actually. So I think what we have to look at now is...
Very true. The gap, what I'm trying to say, Mohit, is as we evolve and say it, if we get the teacher a 10x job and get him out of the professor, he goes work in the industry like a dog, understands it.
Yeah, but give him 10x, no.
It's a 10-year one. So the point is, unless we all went through the full cycle and this gap would ever exist, yes. Can the gap be removed? Yes. Get all the people work in different places of the world, and the new cycle will come.
So I'll answer this to you. This answer was given to me by one of the most veteran person in this industry named Manvendra Shuklji. He answered to me very, very precisely. I said, trainers needs to be good, this and that, and all that thing I mentioned to him with all my emotions filled in. He said, I pay my ex-guy this much amount, okay? And if I depute him as a trainer, will the university be able to bear that salary? So I think we have to actually value our trainers.
The institute should do partnership.
Yeah. So I think we have to value our trainers. But what I really wanted to precisely talk about is that these events are good to happen. And I think we are planning one roundtable tomorrow also with a lot of industry academicians invited. I would invite all of you. I think it's at 11:30. Shivani and Nancy from my team can possibly share more details with you. But I feel these are very good alarming situations which we are dealing with. But after doing these conversations, let's go back and start some action plan on the ground, I think they'll be much more fruitful for all of us. Right. Yeah, I want you to be pushed in the bus now.
I'll make a couple of points.
Sure, sir. Final thoughts before the question.
I think, though my name is Srikanth, the opener, I'm ending also over here. So,
Which means we won the match.
Yes. Okay. So, the thing is, first of all, I think the academic institutions have to change their mindset. Exactly. Whenever any industry comes to them, they only say, come for campus. Right? Beyond that, they don't ask for anything. What Mohit said was absolutely right. Please be part of that thing itself. With HYSIA, we are sending our IT faculty members for industry internship. If that can happen for IT, why not for gamification? Second thing which I'd like to mention is, we have to look at skills differently now. And if any educators are there or here in this room, I'll be addressing you very clearly. Earlier, it used to be a T, where you knew a lot of things, but you had a domain expertise, right? That's where it was. Now it is becoming a pie, where you have your domain expertise, but you have also artificial intelligence, machine learning, leadership, critical thinking, all 21st century skills, adaptability, agility, all these things are also coming in, right? That's the second thing. So we have to not think that I'm making an expert, but people who are able to shift industries. Today you might be a gaming expert, right? And writing games, but tomorrow you might move to the healthcare industry because robotization will happen over there and you need to write the code for helping a doctor sitting in UK using 5G actually conduct operations over here. The concepts are the same, right? So you have to start preparing your students for that kind of a thing. Third thing is that research, applied research, this debate can keep on continuing, but the easiest thing for doing research these days is only one thing, which is called as hackathons, right? Live industry problems being solved by the help of industry and the academia, solved by the young, bright minds of the country. We need to give a big push to this. Industry should identify the right kind of people in this area who can lead that entire thing by conducting hackathons continuously. So my humble submission to the game companies and everyone is, please work with institutions and conduct these kind of things. Because today we need to also ensure that the mindset of the people change. Today, unfortunately, we are creating people only as glorified clerks. I'm sorry, all institutions are doing that. There is zero computational thinking in our students. They are only learning syntax, nothing beyond that. Even in our institutions for animation, gaming, etc., we are, some of the institutions, I'm not talking about the reputed ones or who have actually seen and created this industry, right? They're only teaching steps. How do you move from one step to another? First you create a 2D, then create a wireframe, then render, finished. Why? What? What's the logic? And that's where it is. So I think it's important for us to concentrate on those lines also. And definitely, I think we also need to concentrate, and that's my last point, on native skills, right? Everyone, if you look at the homemakers, etc., also, morning in South India, you'll see all of them make this beautiful rangoli outside the houses, right? Creativity is in our genes. All we need to do is give it an opportunity to, show itself. Thanks.
Okay. I want to open just one or few questions, if there are any from the audience. Any questions? So could you just request you to share your name first? Okay, all right.
I feel that Hyderabad has no dearth of talent or skills in this gaming industry, the media, gaming and all that, because which is amply reflected and evidently proved that our movies developed by the local VFX companies bagged the Oscar awards. Look at RRR, which has bagged Oscar. So most of the content is developed in Hyderabad. So I feel that there's no dearth of talent and skill, only we have to upskill. Only scaling up has to be done. Talent is available. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyone else? Please, can I get a mic there? Do share your name first.
Hi, my name is Kavin. I was able to resonate with everything you guys said, and I'll say my background as well. I run about 7 schools in Tamil Nadu, frustrated with the education system, and I said we will not invest in higher education because we feel they're increasingly irrelevant. And my wife and I, we founded a company called World Intended Skill. We co-founded it, and now we are working with multiple companies for capacity building based on industry demand. I was able to resonate with almost every single point made here, but with an equal amount of frustration still. It's not about industry integration that matters. Supply and demand is a free market system. If the demand is there, supply will have to follow. It needs to be industry-led. First point, and I'd like anybody to answer that, because it is not industry-led. The good gentleman there, it's a 4-year course, but it's not industry-led. It needs to be industry-led. Drop the courses. If they don't make any sense, drop the courses. It takes 7 years to course correct. From something that is being approved as a paradigm approval all the way down. So one question to the industry guys, more than to the skilling people. If it is something purpose-built for you, if it is something that furthers your market ambition, if it is something that makes you a better company, and we as a company, skilling, education, academia, the free market system can fulfill that demand for you, would you accept it without being overtly regulated by government, without being overtly regulated by all the other hullabullas, but then you said, yes, I can verify the skill set, this furthers my company's cause. Is that a good approach? Is that acceptable to you guys? Anybody can answer.
Anyone? Ashokji?
So that's very good. So the free market, and I believe that the entire world revolves around demand and supply. That's true. So whenever we say that there is a skill gap from the company's point of view, so it's not a skill gap. It's something like you want to have a person with skill X with an amount Y. You make it Y++, skills are available. We really don't need them. That's a fact. You can always do that. So see, if you look into typical market scenario, since last 10 years or so, the mass recruiters, these big companies, whatever is, their salary structure is still the same. Because, and they keep on saying that we are not getting the desired skill. You raise the bar, you raise the salary, you'll get the skills. You really don't need them. So that is what we need to understand. So everything is available at a right cost. So this is one. Secondly, you said about unregulated market in terms of education?
Not exactly unregulated. It is for the acceptance. It is the acceptance of industry-led skills, which does not even transcend down into the education matrix for 7 years. Every time there's a demand put up by the industry, we've done the study for green. We've done the study for gaming now. And that's the whole interest we're here for. Right? And then by the time it gets transcended into the education matrix, comes into my colleges, and my professors, teachers get trained where they don't understand the industry at all, but then they're teaching for 3-4 years, and then the industry says you're not employable, 7 years is gone. And like you said, its velocity is very high, but the system is going to take a while to catch up. So Google is... Yeah, I heard the freelance. Yeah, so please. So it's not unregulated in that sense, but then for industry-led acceptance of true skill sets desired by the industry itself.
So actually, we are talking about skill gap, but now the students, what they are saying is just, do not restrict us with the curriculum that you offer. Yes, there is a gap as industry keeps changing. So they are asking us to have their own time, free time, where they can go with what exactly they want. So means like, how industry works for 5 day a week. Students are also saying that let's have our curriculum for 5 day, 4 day. Rest 2 days, we start building the skills that we want. That's where if you just look in the system as well, earlier, when we talk about a BTech program, used to be 300, 250 credits. Now it is just 160 credits. And we as an institution started understanding that earlier it was learning on the campus, experience at the company, but now learning and experience while in the campus itself. That's where, and yes, earning as well. Now my final year students keep earning a lot of stipend Even in lakhs they are earning while they are in final year. The people who could get the skills, and those skills, again I say, when they acquired those skills, it doesn't mean that the skills they could acquire from the campus, but they know what exactly they want. They reached out the right, point where they can get that particular skills, maybe through internships, maybe through professors or industry people, the connecting, the networking, which we used to talk while working, but the networking, connecting has again come in the student dimension as well.
Just would like to add a couple of points over here. So first thing is, if you look at Telangana, right, every other institution across India is still teaching Thomas Hardy's and Charles Dickens, etc. in English, right? We changed it to business communication English more than 7 years ago, right? Because Thomas Hardy, thou art, where are you going to use that kind of language, right? And that's where we need to look at it. Second thing is, when you look at NEP, right? NEP has started vocational education right from the 8th grade onwards. I think that is going to be a game changer. Today, if you look at it, 160 credits, etc., right? I'm just coming from a meeting of the BFSI consortium because there is going to be a huge, out of 10 jobs, 5 jobs are in the banking right now, right? So what we have done over here in Telangana, what is going to be implemented, you will see very soon, is that in the colleges, the polytechnics I'm talking about, right? They are changing the curriculum to include these subjects, correct? And this will not be open for all, but a couple of polytechnics like that, right? We could also have a similar kind of structure over here itself, where all things that are there, as Mohit rightly said, let's create institutions where people who want to do something go over there, right? So that's the other thing which can be done. And third thing, as I said, native arts. If we are able to actually push them up, I think we'll be able to meet all kinds of demands very, very soon. And see, what I'm talking about is entirely promoted by the government itself. And to that point, since you mentioned you are from Tamil Nadu, I have met Honorable Minister PTR also, and let me tell you, he is as dynamic as our Minister KTR.
Sir, I have one point here from, actually, we talk much about higher education. Sir started talking about the primary education in India. Actually, higher education sector is a sandwich. It's a sandwich between the primary education and the industry. We are the place where whatever the shortcomings of the skills in the primary education has to come here, and whatever the dynamic changes of the industry has to come here. Again, in that 160 credits, we have to teach human values. We have to teach basic English, physics, chemistry, life skills. And that, again, 60 or 40 credits are going for them. And that's where even we are losing the space. And that's where the student says, you are taking my time to teach them. And industry says, these are missing. These are actually missing from the primary education. This is facts that I have to talk about. Right?
See,
so we are experiencing that stress in between both.
So higher education is not a sandwich. Okay. So you are the one who has the maximum pressure, but understand, 3 years of BCom, parents doesn't ask for a job, but 3 months of tele, parents think that they have to get a job. Okay. So the pressure is really on the professional space of learning, while higher education and schooling system have to now mature and nurture well. See, the challenge today is not just in training. The challenge today is also in identification of the student. Best crop in, best crop out, IITs are the best. Okay. Now, if in the class 3rd, class 4th itself, you start analyzing where the interest of the candidate is, it becomes easy to develop that interest into a professional ecosystem. And that is where we thought we will come up with a creative aptitude test called MeCAT. And I think when we were in the IGDC draft policy stage, each of the members were very, very careful about looking at how the intake will happen. So today there are a lot of companies which do freelancing stuff in the schools. I don't know how much are you aware, but there's a company called FunGrow. They have 5 lakh plus students, school students from class 6 to class 12th who are working on domestic and international projects. So what I feel is that the intake has to be specific. The candidate should be given an opportunity and the parent should believe that those psychometric, creative, aptitude tests bring some kind of value on the table for them to ease out and decide which career they should choose. Now, the game lies in how well can you take that to the next layer, whether that can be structured in the schooling system from class 6 to 12th, or can that be nurtured and then groomed up in the higher education system, whether a diploma, advanced diploma, BVOC degree, doesn't matter in our industry. Nobody asks for a degree in our industry. That's the good part. I think all we have to look at is now how we can streamline all this and where the integration, that's why I said it's not just industry academia, it is academy also. So today universities have to nurture the schools. Schools have to go back and create a curriculum which can very well fall in line with what the industry or the universities can look at. I think that's what my learning has been from the skilling space over the last 8-10 years, but maybe I think a lot more research needs to happen. So I'll use IIT's brains there.
Sorry, yes, just to add to your point, another of my previous avatars, I used to be heading the school business for a large IT training company. And this was about 2 decades ago, slightly more than 2 decades ago. And when, at that time, if you looked at it in 2000, early 2001, 2002, it used to be Word from 3rd to 5th. 5th to 7th used to be Excel, PowerPoint, and then Excel, and then Access. So that's how it was being run. I challenged the NCERT in the school education system at that time, and I said, when everything else is in a laddered learning approach, right? As your age grows, complexity of the teaching grows. Maths is there in 1st also, in 5th also, 10th also. So that's where it was, and I started teaching KG upwards programming. NCERT said eye and hand coordination has to be there, right? In that age up to 6 years. I just jumbled up 5 photographs of a kid brushing their teeth. And I said, put it in the right sequential order. What was that? Building logic for a sequential programming. When he moved to the 1st grade, I said, now a new element has been added. A wall clock is there. If the wall clock is showing 7 o'clock, now you have to go to the bus stop and go to school, which was nothing but conditional programming, right? So I think these young minds, we can train them, we can, convert them. And the new education policy is doing that. It is not a summative assessment at the end. It's a formative assessment. A lot of new things are coming through the new education policy. So one thing is rest assured, I think schooling education system is going to be good. And that is how we need to move ahead. So logic needs to be developed at that age, I agree. And I also come from a simple standpoint that if you can't stand the sight of blood, should you become a doctor or join the defense forces, right? Go as per what your calling is, go as per your aptitude, your attitude, your capabilities. Just a case to point and just what you said, right, our friend over there. When Safran was setting up their aircraft engine, I'm talking about a very diverse industry over here, not only about gaming, but there are lessons to be learned. When they were setting up their operations over here, they were looking at aeronautical engineers, right? We took them to the polytechnics, electrical, mechanical. What we did was we didn't look at the skills, we looked at the competencies, hand dexterity, 3D visualization, spatial thinking. These were the kinds of things that were being looked at. We tested these students actually not through a paper and pencil test, but gave them nuts and bolts. So there was the sheet which had 5 pins and 4 pins and discs with holes in it. There were 3D objects that they needed to keep on a 2D sheet. And that's how we selected 70 youth from the districts of Telangana, Nalgonda, Mehboob etc., right? They had never even stepped out of the districts, only to Hyderabad, that's it. And these people have ended up as mechanics or electricians in their districts. We changed their mindset, we converted them. With Safran, we ran the first day, first hour productivity program that I was talking about. And today, 51 of them are still working with Safran, and Telangana benefited by getting 1,200 crores MR over here, right? That's the kind of story that is there. And if it can happen for aircraft industry, why can't we work with any gaming industry or anyone else and put our money over there and say, yes, we will give you the resources, we will train them and give them to you. I think that's where we need to also start thinking in a different line altogether. And that's where, as he rightly said, a 3-month program is good enough for someone who has the right aptitude for it. Correct? And that's where probably we need to move in that direction. Thanks. Sorry.
I think I've been reprimanded. There's a paucity of time. But I'd like to thank every one of my esteemed panelists. Some very valid thoughts, integration with the industry, as Sir has ended the session by saying the aptitude also plays a very pivotal role. Teacher training plays a very pivotal role. Applied thinking also has a very integral part to it. All very valid points. I don't think there's one correct answer. But at the end of the day, what I do see all among this conversation, this is what we are looking for. This is, I think, the pure play foundation for the image program. This is where we think that all of you guys on this panel will play a pivotal role with your thinking and the gaps that we've identified and the way forward. So I thank you all for your time. Thank you for the audience for being patient. Thank you all very much. Thank you.